Hello, I'm Tony Garvey. Today we're going to talk about stop being a pushover and become somebody that's unstoppable. You know, 41% of us feel stressed out every day, and that's a little bit less than half of the population because they're not running stuff in their own life. Uh, Probably working for a boss that they don't like, or just like a relationship they can't get out of, or just things that just can't, it's out of their control. But man, a lot of different things bring a lot of stress. Over a billion people stress over having anxiety and being depressed every day. And I used to be one of those people. And depression, to me, worked like the worst time I've ever had been depressed. Like my best friend killing himself, or um, just the very worst times of my life, man. And there's been a bunch of bad ones, but um, the way I'm trying to conquer that is just getting that word out of my vocabulary. Period. Because man, once that word gets in there, it's not no in between. It goes straight to that point in my life, and I just don't want to be that crippled anymore in my life. Um, the neuroscience behind it is some brains like rewire, literally rewire. Like they get scared. They start apologizing all the time, overthink, over-explain, and they claim up when there's a conflict. We're going to overcome all that, by saying no, like it's your job. I mean, you're not invisible, man. I see it, and we can overcome that. You're rewriting your story, your movie, man. It's time for you to pick up that pen and write it the way you want it to be. Some of the struggles that I've had, when I was young, I had a mom that wanted me to be perfect. She'd tell me to do something one way, and I would do it that way, and then the next day she would spank me for doing it that way. I didn't know if I was coming or going. And there were just times where I was locked up in a room for like 8 hours. Not times, a lot, a lot. I remember counting the paint designs dripping off the ceiling. For those 8 hours. But a lot of times I did pick up the books and the encyclopedias, but they wanted me to be something like extraordinary, something I really didn't believe that I was at the time. And there's nothing that feels worse than being locked up for that long every day. And just like, so there's some things that I've overcome when I was younger, but man, it still sticks with you, even as you get older. When I got a little bit older, I was 17. I got a girl pregnant, and I got kicked out right then. My dad was like, "Oh, you got a girl pregnant? Well, if you're going to be a man, you got to be a man. Now accept your challenges, accept your your responsibilities. Go do your thing." And I lied on uh, two applications, got jobs. I got two jobs, got an apartment really quick, and we were together for a year. And then I didn't want to be with her, but I wanted to be in Trey's life. But she took off with Trey, and I didn't see him for 27 years. I recently seen him. He lived with me for a year, and man, it was a great time. It was an awesome time, man. And I really got to know him, and how incredible he really truly is, and how proud I am of him. And so, man, behind every struggle, there's a light. Definitely, man. And then from there, I've spent 10 years of my life in prison, but I've never let that define me. I've always got great jobs. The last one was 70,000 a year working for Wingstop, which I didn't like. I don't like working for somebody else. That's why I'm going on this venture of opening my own business. I'm taking a chance, and I'll explain more of that later. Yeah, when I was young, man, I got bullied by whites and the blacks, man. I mean, shit. I got bullied a whole lot. Like, man, this one guy, James Brown, my best friend came to the door. I'll tell you the story. Best friend came to the door. He knocked on the door. I opened up, and Jeremy's like, "Man, James wants to talk to you." It's like, "James who?" He's like, "James Brown." Like, in my head, I'm like, "Damn, dude's known for his left hook." So I come out, and I'm not going to show that I'm scared. So I go and confront James, and I'm like, "So what you have to talk to me about?" And he's like, "Man, I ain't got nothing to talk to you about." I was like, "What?" Yeah, all right. So I made this mistake. I'll never make it again. But I turned around. As soon as I turned around, boom. I mean, I got hit harder than I ever got hit before in my life. And then they told me that he had my head in his hand and he just hit me. Boom, boom, boom. And I remember getting split to the white meat, man. I was fucked up, and then uh, looked in the mirror and I was like, Jesus Christ, bro. So, man, it turns out, I try to fight him every day, getting my ass whipped every day, until one day he was like, man, you know what, fuck it. I don't know if you just let me out that win or what, man. And he's like, fuck it, man, we ain't fighting today, So, like, I don't know, man. Getting bullied, it does suck and it does stick with you, but you have to stand up for yourself. That's the only way to stop it. Here goes another story. When I was in karate, man, it was like my dream, taekwondo. I'm going to be the next Bruce Lee, you know what I mean? Like, I had all these goals and dreams, and it was defining who I was. So they told me if I fight, I get kicked out. So I remember in the neighborhood, Dorian and Mike, they both started fights with me during this time period, and I remember, don't fight or you're gonna get kicked out, and it made me look like a little punk, like I'm in their face, but like, I know that if I fight, I get kicked out. I lose my my karate, I lose my identity, I lose everything, So I didn't fight. But then when it came to the tournament time, I had all this bent up fucking rage, like mad as hell, and they put me against like this. I was a yellow belt, and this green belt, it was way bigger than me. I mean, it looked like he was breathing smoke out of his nose. You know what I mean? Like, so when they put me up against him, all that rage came out. As soon as he was like, "Hey, go!" I jumped up. I cracked this dude. And I just wouldn't let up. I just kept hitting him, bam, 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 and they kicked me out. They kicked me out of karate for fighting. It's crazy. But so yeah, so like all that not standing up for myself and all that, man, it wasn't worth it. So I'll never do that again. And then that leads up to the time that I got married. I met my high school sweetheart, Mindy, and I truly love this girl. I mean, she was my life, my everything, And so this is how I knew I loved her. We went on our first date, and we were going to Merlin's Castle, and the conversation was so good, and it kept carrying on, that's all I was paying attention to was her. And so when I came up to a stop sign, I didn't even try to stop. I wasn't looking, and bam, I hit this car. I don't know if I'm gonna get arrested for this shit or not, but like, yeah. So like, I get out and I check on the guy, and he's like, I'm like, oh my god. So I get back in the car and then pull off, and then we go to Merlin's Castle, and then we're playing skeet ball. We're doing all kinds of stuff. I'll never forget the skeet ball because I closed my eyes, put my hand over, and then scored the 50. I'll never forget that stuff. But then when we were leaving, there was all kinds of ambulances, and I was like, oh my god. But she kept it cool and kept it quiet and still liked me, and I was like, man, I love this girl. I'm gonna marry this girl. But I didn't tell her that during that time. But yeah, but so it came to a point where she was like, either marry me or I'm leaving. So I was like, okay, well, we're going to get married then, And man, I remember because I wasn't working. I mean, I wasn't, the only job that I had was the time that I got kicked out and I lied on application and got those 2 jobs, but they were crap jobs, But I remember seeing this billboard that said, hiring manager today, So I was like, man, I went and got a resume together, and lied a whole lot on it, and then turned it in, and out of 50 people, I got hired. They picked your boy over everybody. But anyways, it led to us getting married, and that's just another thing that I overcame because of not caring about what other people think. Now we're going to talk about some peaks. Man, where this has led me, like not taking no for an answer, being trying to be the unstoppable force that I can be. Like, it's led me to the maximum, like jobs of sitting there, the youngest man at a table of people that's all making 100,000 a year, or my kids my last 2 sons being dropped off at my doorstep without no warning, no nothing, you know. One's 1 and one's 0, like they're both in diapers, you know. So I had to be a man and just take control of that, you know. And the way I did it was the wrong ways, period. Like I started selling drugs because like it was so convenient. Like this guy that I just met said he had a way for me to make a ton of money, and I started just dealing drugs, and it took me to a peak that I never thought I would. Like every day I was home with my kids, teaching them, loving on them, man. I got the 2 best boys in the world, my DNA, my Dennis and Anthony. You know, I love them to death. And every day, you know, it was a struggle, but it wasn't a struggle because I had more money than I ever had before in my life, you know, even with those other jobs or whatever, you know. And my kids mean the world to me. And there was a time where I got kicked out of this apartment because I woke up with I took a nap with them, and I woke up and there was water running like a waterfall, and there was the steps that go up to my apartment, and the water was running off them steps, and I was like, what the fuck is that? So I go in there and I check on my kids, and one's in the bathtub with it overflowing. He's on a computer that I was supposed to fix, rowing with the spoon off the decorations in the kitchen, you know. And then there's a one in the sink in the bathroom. Like I don't even know how he got up there. He's so small, you know. But he's like, you got the sink overflowing and like playing with the water. Like hey, I'm like, oh no. And then you know I turn off the water and here comes the landlord. Just redid the apartment downstairs, so he's raging. He's mad as hell, and he's telling me, man, you got to get out. I respect what you're doing with your kids and raising them, but you got to leave. And so, you know, I didn't know what I was going to do. And there was this ad in the paper with Remax. And I always remember his name, but I can't remember it right now as I'm doing the video. But the guy, Urban Lyons is his name. That's right, Urban Lyons. But he had an ad in the paper for a house that you can rent to own. But it was a lot of money down, you know, and I had that money down. It's nothing. So I told him to meet me at Jerry's. And I had the brown paper bag, put the money down, boom, had a house, you know. I mean, there's a lot of things that I overcame from just believing in myself, just believing that no matter what comes up, I'm going to handle it, you know. But I'm not promoting, I'm just testifying, you know, like my life. And as far as it comes to, you know, drug dealing or drugs, you get your best from the worst people, you know, and it's not no life. It used to be to where I can have money hand over fist, but it's not that way anymore. And it's a struggle. It's a nickel and dime type shit, man. And the people that you deal with are the most grimiest, sneakiest, dirtiest motherfuckers you ever meet in your life, man. And they act like there's good people, this facade, but it's not that way, you know. Drugs make you into a person that you don't want to be, and I know it had that effect on me plenty of times. But like so the bullying, it didn't stop when you're a kid either, because when you're a loner like me, people take advantage of that, you know. There was a time where I was balling again. It had my own apartment right up here off of Fern Creek, in Fern Creek, and man, I was moving a whole lot of weight for this chick in California, and like I tried to quit, and when I tried to quit, man, she was like, "You small time motherfucker," and people came with tire irons to try to kill me, you know, hit me over the head. Man, it was a bad scene, leaking blood everywhere. The only thing it took was my car. She left her car from when she visited me, so I kept her car. You know what I mean? But like, I had a roommate. His name Fats, and fucking he took full advantage of that part, you know. Like the reason why I was quitting, because he was getting it cheaper, and it was like he gave me cut the next time that we did the deal. It was just all bad, man. I mean, that time of my life was a really bad time, so I wanted to leave the situation, you know. So I was going to get my stuff. I had this dude Ernst Weiger, but he had his kid with him. So that's when Fats wanted to start all this shit, you know. And I knew he had a knife and you know, weapons and all that stuff. And with this kid, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna put that kid in danger. So I was like, you know what, you win, I'll be back, you know. So all this time he's talking crap, he's telling everybody to kick me out, all this bullshit, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he a fucking punk mother. But anyways, I ended up going back, you know, and getting my stuff. And I said, man, I thought you were supposed to break my jaw next time you see me. Man, he bitched up like a, but man, but that short time where everybody's like, oh, you know, he's talking all this stuff to all my friends and every, oh man, there was so much to eat, man. It ate me up inside every day, you know. So man, there's situations where you have to back off still. I'm not saying that you have to be all out. You have to fight every time that you think you're supposed to fight. But you still have to take a punch. I don't care who you are. If you're gonna fight, you gotta take a punch. But like, man, and people don't like fighting these days. They'd rather kill you or shoot you than to take a loss. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. So I'm not advising that at all. And there's been times where I went wrong with my decision making. You know, like when I faced adversity, like I was managing Culver's for a while, for a long time, doing very, very well, you know. And they took 20,000 out of my bank account like that, like no percentage, no nothing. And I was wondering what. I went to a gas station, tried to put gas in my car just from one card because I had two bank accounts, and then it said denied, and I knew I had a bunch of money in there, and I'm like, what the? And when I called the bank, it gave me his phone number. I didn't call it yet because I went inside and I tried to buy cigarettes, and I had used my other debit card trying to buy these cigarettes, and boom, denied. Like, what's going on? And it turns out that it was for child support, and I'm like, child support? I had the kids. What? How the hell? What child support? And then it turns out she was getting K-tapped the whole time. And Heather, man, yeah, when I met her, she was like, it was like McDonald's. Okay, I'm sorry that I'm stuttering, but I'm trying to get this video done really quick, and I'll tell you why at the end. But yeah, so like I met her at McDonald's, and she was sweeping and mopping, and she was gorgeous. I mean, this beautiful, beautiful mixed mulatto, as she says it, girl, man. And I took her number down, didn't call her for 2 years because it was a drunk moment during Thanksgiving, and I'm scrolling down all my contacts and calling every girl, and I ran into her number, and I was like, dang, I remember her. So I called her, and she's like, come see me dance. I'm like, come see you dance? Like, what? She's like, yeah, Body Shop, 4th Street. And I'm like, all right, I'll go see you dance. And then, I had John Bandy with me, so we go and see her dance. And she comes out, and she's in this Budweiser bathing suit, like, oh my God, looking like Beyonce. Like, she was gorgeous, man. And John's like this, I'm not looking. But anyway, man, she had my heart right then. I mean, I couldn't help but to put 2 kids in there real quick, like boom, boom, you know what I mean? Like, but man, it turned out it was love, man. I mean, the stories I built with her, I haven't been able to build since my wife, and then so when this time period came up where she did me wrong with the K-tap, I didn't go after her and get her in trouble because I know that those kids were made out of love, you know what I mean? And I truly loved this girl, and I didn't want to get her in trouble. But I was going to get that money back, and I made the decision to go back into drug dealing, and that's what happened. To the end of that was the tire iron and the cut stuff and all this other, crap, and so yeah, my decision making has not always been great like it is now. The decision making, the changing up of who I am, the being consistent, being dedicated, it's all because of one person only, and that's Philip Johansson, man. He's changing me a whole lot, and I want to bring that up a little bit later. This is a part that a lot of people, I don't know, won't like, but this is how I found religion, man. Found God, Christ, all that, however you want to put them. But I believe in the highest God, because I've been shown too many times that there is one, Like, take, for instance, I went to Seattle, Washington, and I ran out of gas, tapped out everybody I knew. I begged and borrowed gas all the way up there. You know what I mean? And so I was at this gas station, and I mean, I was stuck. No gas, nobody to call. I mean, I just sat there at the gas pump, laid back in my car, went to sleep. And I got woke up by this lady. She knocked at the window, and I'm like, what the heck? So I rolled the window. She's like, you're out of gas, ain't you? I was like, yeah. She's like, well, God told me to come here and fill up your tank. I was like, what the? So she fills up, she puts her credit card in and says, fill up your tank. So I fill up the tank, and before I can even say, hey, you want your receipt? She's gone, took off. Like, what the? So I said that just to tell this bigger story. When I got arrested the last time, 2015, I was fighting a case already that I got caught with like 14 ounces here in Louisville, and I just bonded out and got a lawyer, and my brother bonded out and got a lawyer, all kinds of crazy stuff. But on this one particular one, my friend wants me to re-up through him, even though I had a good contact in Cali, and so I did, and he wanted to go with me. It was weird, but he wanted to go with me, to my hometown. It's Hardin, my county. So we go, and as soon as we get into Hardin County, bam, 8 cops pull me over. I'm like, what? And so I know my rights. I'm handcuffed outside the car, and I'm like, you only got 20 minutes on the traffic stop, bro. You only 20 minutes, man. You're supposed to let me go, But they was like, shut him up, get him back. But it's 45 minutes at that point, So they got me in the back of this car, and then, 45 minutes later, I'm still cussing out, cussing them out. And they had the dog running through my car like the whole time, and they couldn't find it. And then they finally find it. They come to my car, and they're pointing at me like, you're going to jail for trafficking methamphetamine. And then they pointed at him and said, you're going home. I'm like, instantly, man, it's Hardin County. They arrest both of us, and whoever's in the car off top, charge everybody. You know what I mean? So when they let him go, I knew what time it was. But anyways, so I'm fighting 2 cases. I'm in Hardin County, not knowing what to do, and then my parents get a hold of a wind of it, of me being arrested again. And my only offer was 12 years at 85%. And I'm like, man, show me the person that signs this bullshit, man, gives us a bad name and signs this crazy ass offer, and they didn't change my offer all the way up until it was trial, and I asked for all the squawk talk, which was all the radio talk between the cops and everything, and then all the video, even the video at the place that they stopped me at, because I seen that camera too, but the cops already got all that stuff, you know what I mean? But because they didn't want to show that the evidence, they gave me a better deal, which was 10 years at 20%. So that's 3 years to the board. And my criminal thinking, like 3 years, I can do that on my neck. That's stupid ass thinking. That's time you can't get back. That's life you can't get back. You know what I mean? But so like I'm sitting there in jail, and like my dad, he's bad off shape, and man, and I can't believe I got arrested at that point, knowing that he was in that bad of shape. But like, hearing me getting arrested, and the time that they offered me, he gave up. He gave up, and like, so like I was sitting there in jail, and like, the phone calls and everything. I'm like, Dad, whatever it takes, I'm gonna change, bro. Whatever it takes, man. I'm gonna change my life this time, man. And I got into a fight and got into the hole. And for 3 days straight, man, the only thing I had was that Bible, So I started reading it. I read it 3 times, from cover to cover, read it, And so I was like, man, you said that if I believe in Jesus and I ask, for whatever through him, that you'll give it to me. So I said, man, so I'm going to leave it up to you. Like, the only way I'm going to be able to see my dad for the last time is if you do it for me. And I believe that you're going to do it for me, and I'm going to leave it at that. So I left it at that, And so they called me up to the front. It was like 12 o'clock, midnight, and I'm like, damn, my dad died. So I go up to the front, and Officer Reynolds is like, man, your dad's dying. I'm going to take you to see him. I'm like, what the? You know what I mean? That right then, I know there's a God. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, buts about it, So he took me in handcuffs while I'm in Orange took me to the hospital, and my mom was sitting there embarrassed as hell about it. I mean, completely embarrassed. Like, you know, you're in handcuffs. I don't want people to see this. Like, I didn't care though. I'm gonna go see my dad. You know, so I got to go in front of my dad, look him in the eye, you know, because I looked up to all these sports stars and all these drug dealers and all, you know, and I admired, and I made all these people my heroes and my idols. But man, I got to look at my dad and tell him, man, that all this time I was looking for, you know, a hero or idol and all this, and I had him right in front of me. I got to look him in his eyes and tell him that I love him, that he was my hero, that he is my example. You can't tell me that there ain't no God after that. So while I was in this prison stint, you know, fighting these two cases, I want to bring this part up too. Olu Stevens, he's a judge here in Louisville, and I admire this guy because he stuck up for this kid, man. This kid was black, and he was facing, you know, murder, and he was facing life in prison. And Ulu, he wouldn't try him because the whole jury was white, and he's like, man, that's not a jury of his peers. There's not even a single black person on the jury. So man, that judge, I just had to bring that part up because he faced all kinds of scrutiny over it, and he stood up, and I'm just, you know, proud to see a man do that in his position. But as far as my prison stint, I knew I didn't want to sell drugs anymore. I knew that I didn't want to be a restaurant manager for the rest of my life, because that job, that life is not. Every time I got the restaurants running to extreme perfect, like got my systems in place, got my culture in place, I was like the highest cost to all the owners. Like they wanted to get rid of me for somebody that makes $30,000 less. You know what I mean? Like every time. So, and I don't know how to leave that little 10% to where they still need me, you know? So I started teaching myself real estate while I was in prison, you know? And it actually my first time that I cracked open a book on it and started actually really digging into it was at my friend John's house, you know? He's a good dude, a really good dude, man. I don't know how to thank him sometimes, you know? But like, I was downstairs at his house, and you know, every day was like a party, but I had to dig in. I had to change my life, you know. And he's a really strong-minded businessman to where he makes you want to chase after things like that, you know. So like, I started digging in, and I turned myself in because like I had 1 year left on parole, and I went to Seattle to learn more about the real estate after John's house, and it got absconded, and went on a run at this girl's house in Son of Fun for a while. Allie, I'll never forget those times. Well, anyways, long story short, I turned myself in, and I had a year left on my sentence, but I thought they was going to slap me on the wrist because I was out on parole for 5 years, you know, like, dang, you know, slap me on the wrist, let me go. But no, they made me do the whole time. And so I'm digging in and teaching myself more about the real estate. I mean, I know it like at the back of my hand now, you know what I mean? Like, so I got my first my first wholesale deal while I was behind bars. So there's nothing that can stop you from doing what you want to do in life. Not a prison, not a person, nothing, man. The struggles that I'm facing now, when you do so much for people, I mean, and it becomes secondhand, like they get so used to it. Like you're putting them on weight, and you give them like 2 ounces, or you put them on pounds, and you can't do it for one time or whatever. You are the total bad guy. If you say no one time, you are like the scum of the earth, because they're so. I don't even want to get into that psychology. But anyways, like after I taught myself this real estate, I got out, and I started working for a real estate company. That's how much I taught myself it. And I was the acquisitions manager, and it was downtown Louisville in the slums, West End. And started started getting a bunch of contracts and everything, but like on my good deal, they didn't pay me right. I know deep down in my heart they didn't pay me right, but they did give me $300 a week, which is crap money. But they justified it in their head that I had to pay that back. Cool. I learned more than I ever did from them, and I appreciate the education. It was worth every penny. I don't care so. But I just said this because it led to a even better job, man. Vets buy houses, man. I will never forget these people, man. Man, deep down, man, I love you, bro. And but the things that he taught me and the things that I actually learned, and being able, they took the reins off. They let me call the people. They let me set up the appointments, go on the appointments, make the deals, do the closes. And man, that type of education you cannot buy. You know what I mean? Like, good people, very good people, man. But like, I think we all got a little greedy, especially me at the end, and it ended like way too quick, and a lot of things on the table that could have been done, the what ifs, you know what I mean? And like, I did end up buying a house for my kids, and it just like the manager's job, when they took all my money, I went back to selling drugs because I wanted to make that money up. Well, when I faced adversity again, I went back to selling drugs, and this time, oh my God, it's crazy, dumb shit, man. Like, but damn, yeah. So through all this, I met this guy Joe, and Joe, a great businessman. I mean, like, is smart. Like another, like, there's like business owners, and then there's like Joe. You know what I mean? Like smart. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I wish I had half the stuff that he knew. I know he learned it through experience, and like, but this guy is a person that take something, and it's going to happen, like a mastermind. Like, if he has an idea to make it work, he's going to make it work, and he does it. Like I can't explain it. I don't know. I just want to be like that one day, And he let me take charge of 86 properties in the West End again, and so I was doing very well with that, and I wanted to get a job, but there was no retirement or anything like that. But I wanted to, get a job to retire from. So I went to this battery plant, which he told me that I'm setting myself up for failure. That being somewhere on time and all that. But of course he's right, because he's seen it before I did, and I lost that job. But anyways, getting back to the drug, man. Getting back to the drug dealing, I lost my kids' trust, and that hurts me to the death, And at the end, I want them to know that Dad loves them, man. And like, I didn't. It's a struggle just to even explain my thought process, but man, but my thought process is great now. I mean, it's great now. And I am going to make up for the times that's lost right now. All right. But like, yeah, through that struggle, I bought the house, but I kind of lost my kids again, like, after we got rekindled, and that's another story in itself, the hugs for 5 minutes, the seeing my youngest, seeing my grandbaby, but I am going to get all that back. So it's not going to make me feel sad right now. But like, drug dealing this time, fucking stupid. Like, I went through a whole lot of weight. I mean, just like crazy weight again. You know what I mean? Like people can't even fathom how much weight I've had. You know what I mean? Like, but like, I'm not trying to glorify. I'm trying to testify here. Like, it's not the way to go. Even through all that weight that I moved, uh, the O's were like 23, and then like they were taking 2 O's at a time. I was set up for failure. Like it's not no fucking money in it, no more at all. And I don't even know why I even attempted that. You know what I mean? But it's a lifestyle that I'm used to, like being the star everywhere I go, or um, uh, being somebody that's looked up to for those reasons. You know what I mean? But I really feel like I'm going to a space that will give me that, but in a different direction, in a different way. You know, like affiliate marketing is a $6 billion with a B dollar industry. And you know, I'm taking all of this experience from life, and taking all of this not caring what other people think, and just taking a dive into it. You know, I'm taking a chance on myself again. You know, and it's a different industry. It's something new. I haven't done it before, but I'm going to take a chance on myself. So yeah, I have every reason to quit this time. I mean, I have every reason to quit on myself. You know, and but I know, like Everest, for instance, if I had to climb that, man, I would climb it. I don't care. Like, man, if frostbite on my fingers, uh, or storm coming, man, I just see all that. It's like, man, I got to get through this. You know, I just know there's no chance. Like, you know, cows, they run away from the storm. Bulls, they run toward the storm to get the storm over with. But I'm just trying to get through this life and get it right, you know. And I've been through so much, and I know that if I just take this chance and I think about it, that it's going to work out. I got good people behind me, man. And but Philip Johansson, I can't thank enough for this, you know. And let's get more deeper into that. So I was in a hate me mode, you know, and then boom, Philip Johansson, man, all these videos. Not some guru on a yacht, but a guy whose videos, man, slapped me in the face, like calling me out on my bullshit, and you know, binging him like 3 in the morning, and then he's mad because, like, where you at? Why ain't you know, here yet? And I'm like, damn, I stayed up late watching your videos, man. Because like his sit downs and videos are like pure gold, man. And he just the main thing that made me start waking up is that he doesn't give you a magic wand or anything, but he just tells you, like, man, your life's a mess because you're waiting to exist. You're waiting for on permission instead of just taking it. And like, man, from then it just clicked, man. Like, my mindset has been like, fuck it, man. I'm gonna build this business, you know. The dude's the spark though. Philip Johansson, he's like, man, fear is just social media sheep shit, man. He's like, low self-esteem, man, you got to build it. You got to build it up with wins, you know, not wishes. And he taught me that you got to say no, like the reps in the gym, man. You can't just like, you got to set them boundaries, like sharper than your ex's comebacks, you know. Before Philip, I would fold like a lawn chair when it comes to just opening my own business, taking that leap, you know. And then when it comes to opening my business, now I see, you know, it's just a starting point, but I see a little bit of growth, and I know it's going to just take off from here. And he's why, and man, I feel unstoppable now. Not because he did it for me, but he showed me that I can do it, and that the devil can be punched in the face. 2 days ago, my mom flatlined, you know, and she made it. But I mean, I'm going through so much, man. That's why I know that I'm doing something right, man. Because the devil don't mess with somebody this much if they're not, if you're not that important to him. So I got to get back down to earth, man. I'm gonna put this. So this affiliate marketing thing is not just about no cookies and no clicks or nothing like that. It's about me facing my fears. It's about me making this work. It's about showing the devil when he shows up again. I know he's going to, but it's keeping that receipt. Because unstoppable ain't about being perfect. It's about keeping that receipt when life tries to punk you. if you're still there, if you're still breathing through all of this, I'm gonna put the link down, and I'm gonna go see my mom. But click the link, see what he says, man. Even if you don't subscribe or you don't do anything with it, man. Just listen to what he has to say, man. Because I don't know where my life was going to lead. Continue to doing drugs, continue to try to sell drugs, or what the fuck ever I was doing, man. But man, I know my whole life, my mind's switched, and I know he's the biggest player in it, the biggest key. And I just want you to witness it yourself.